everybody. It's so exciting to be with so many of you who join our passion to find solutions for these big problems. And I know they are big problems. And sometimes we feel incredibly overwhelmed and sometimes even hopeless when we get all of this information about what's happening with nature and climate. But unequivocally, I want to say, as an economist, as a mother, as a conservationist, do not despair. Yes, it is absolutely urgent that we protect and restore nature, but it's not too late. And this is my first message to you. And it's one that keeps me going when I think about my 12-year-old twin girls, Isabella and Emilia. My second message, and all of you business people, I want you to take home, business is critical to your business all the time. It's not an afterthought. It's not a nice to have. It's something that your business depends on. And we have to work on this faster. I know that there are some progress and many of you are taking action, but it's not only about thinking about mitigation. It's not only about thinking about avoiding risks. It's about going beyond. My final message is that this is not something that you need to do alone or that any sector of society can and should be doing alone. We do need to do this together. It happens that when we work together, we come up with very creative ideas and solutions. And as business leaders, you play an incredibly important role in this. I know it's hard to think about how and what are the steps that you need to take, but that's what we're here for. We can do this together. Let me take you back to this wonderful place in the northeastern part of Ecuador in the Amazon. Picture myself, 23 years younger, I know, a lot younger. When I came out of college and I started working with the National Park Service in Ecuador, monitoring oil and gas production in national parks. Yes, the Ecuadorian government allows and allowed then oil production in national parks and reserves. 47% of the Ecuadorian economy now depends on oil. So there's no way of saying no to that oil in those parks, or at least at that time. Now we are doing more so. At that point, I was 23 years old, and I was talking to these oil people, men, and saying, guys, you gotta take care of Mother Nature. You think that they were paying attention to me? Probably not. But with a lot of tenacity and a lot of luck, I was able to work with them, coming up with very creative solutions to stop encroachment and deforestation, improving the management of these national parks, and developing best practices for them that they were able to show very proudly in the industry later on. Fast forward 30 years now, I'm the chief executive of BirdLife International. I'm the first woman from a developing country leading an international conservation organization. Thank you. But what is important about BirdLife is that we're this family of 115 organizations all over the world. We have been, for the last 100 years, bird experts. But why do birds matter? Why do they matter for the planet? Why do they matter for you in your businesses? Well, my friends, birds tell us what's happening with the planet. They are everywhere, and they are hypersensitive. We can know that something is happening with the planet when we see changes in birds' behavior and presence or absence. They are the proverbial canary in the coal mine, and they are telling us that we're not doing well. We're in trouble. In the State of the World Birds report that we launched in September, we showed that 49% of bird species, almost half of the 11,000 species of birds, are declining. Can you imagine a sky without birds? And 1 in 8 species of birds is closer to extinction. We're not doing well. And unfortunately, this is not the fate only of birds. It's a million other species that are doomed with extinction if we don't change our ways. Yes, We need to act now because we're making this planet harder for them and for us to live in. So, I'm sure that you have seen the World Economic Forum risk report that came out in January in Davos, pinpointed at the role of turning around the climate crisis and the biodiversity loss crisis as two of the most important risks in the next 2 to 10 years. It's top 10. We do need to do something. The climate and the biodiversity crisis are the two sides of the same coin, and we have to work on them together. When we save birds, when we save nature, we're saving our climate and we're saving ourselves. Let me take you on a voyage. One of the most wonderful phenomena that nature has, bird migration. A third of all those 11,000 species migrate twice a year to find wintering grounds or places to have their babies. Let me illustrate this with one example, the Hudsonian godwit. This is a bird about this size, 250 grams. That's a little over half a pound, that in a couple of months will be taking off from Chile, flying 8 nights and 8 days, non-stop, 5,000 miles at 60 miles per hour to stop at the Texas coast, fuel up, and then fly up to the Arctic and Alaska to find a place to nest and have their babies. And a couple of weeks later, they will do the same journey back down to Chile. As you can imagine, it's not a very easy task. It is dangerous. And we, unfortunately, are making it harder for them. Climate change is changing the tundra and the Arctic, so it's harder for them to nest. The plains are getting more droughts, so they have less food. Sea level rise is destroying their coastal stopovers. Aquaculture, agriculture, and coastal development is squishing their wintering grounds. We're not making this easy for them. In my lifetime, the Hudsonian godwit population is now half of what it was before I was born. Half. And in the next 3 decades, we may lose half of that half. But then you can say, does it matter? It's just a Hudsonian godwit. Well, the reality is that nature works like a system, like a domino. The minute that you top one species, all of the others crumble. And with that, the services that we depend on. So yes, it does matter. But do not despair. We are working with the Latin American Development Bank and the BirdLife partner in the US, the Audubon Society, in a very innovative initiative that is going to protect and restore 30 landscapes and coastlines that these migratory birds use by mobilizing blended finance. The huge advantage is that these interventions are not going to be only good for birds. They're going to create climate resilience for local communities, jobs for people, and enable us to maintain the flyway alive. And this initiative comes as a sister initiative of the Asian Flyway, where we are working with the Asian Development Bank. Between these two initiatives, we hope to be mobilizing over the next 20 years between 7 and 10 billion, with a B, $billion of blended finance for nature and climate across these flyways, and demonstrating that we can work together. Birds have no borders. We need to work together. We have only one planet. But at the same time, we know that nature is incredibly generous. The minute that you give it a chance, it actually comes back. And these two magnificent species are an example of that. The bald eagle and the California condor are examples that when you actually do conservation, they can actually come back. And BirdLife has been working around the world, saving 700 species like these birds from the brink of extinction. So how do we turn the tide? Well, Sally said it. Mindset shift. We need to shift the way that we think. And I want to challenge you, for you to think about today, tomorrow, next week, and next month, that we need to put nature at the heart of everything. It's Valentine's Day. Put nature at the heart. Nature needs to be at the heart of your business because it's business critical. Half of the GDP of the planet, $44 trillion, depend on nature. If we don't put nature at the heart, we're going to be doomed. There's no profit in a failed planet. And here's one example. This is what we have been doing. Unsustainable land use. This is a monoculture of oil palm. If I take you down to Andalusia in Spain, this is a semi-arid environment that is prone to droughts. Meanwhile, we have these moonscapes of strawberries and blueberries that are incredibly water-demanding crops. We need to make sure that we are thinking through things. And BirdLife is working with its BirdLife partner in Spain with wine producers and vineyard owners because these vines have been adapted to this geography and to this ecosystem for eons. They don't demand so much water. They don't need pesticides. So should we be choosing local species like olives, like wine, like vineyards, like rice, or should we be going with strawberries and blueberries? Similar to that, we're working with Heidelberg Materials and Rio Tinto, restoring quarries and ensuring that we can help them with their commitments of climate change and biodiversity. We're working in Indonesia with Pirelli and BMW in an agroforestry project for rubber production that is proving that you can get more quality and quantity of rubber while we are diversifying the income of local communities and enabling soil fertility and nature to thrive in one of the most threatened ecosystems of the planet. In Argentina, Paraguay, Uruguay, and Brazil, we are working with local ranchers in 700,000 hectares of grasslands that are being used to produce top quality beef while it's sequestering huge amounts of carbon, enabling birds to have those grasslands. And these ranchers keep their cultural values that have had for hundreds of years. These are just some examples of how you can put nature at the heart of everything. We only have 10 years. And yes, we're making some progress. But we need more, and we need faster. And we can work with you in 115 countries where we are present to make this a different future. We know the science, you know your business. We are part of the same flock. We need to do this together. So, my 3 messages. Do not despair. It's not too late, but it is urgent. Number 2, nature needs to be at the heart of your business. It's Valentine's Day. Number 3, we can do this together, and we're here, ready to work with you. Thank you so much.